We are TNM News.
Todd Dankin here with the National Marijuana News, coming to you live on July 13th, 2018. This happens to be my birthday as well on this lovely Friday the 13th, and I also share my birthday with Cheech Marin. So happy birthday, Cheech, and happy birthday to me. And by the way, thank Todd. It's Friday. I hope everyone's having a great summer so far, and let's get you updated on what is happening this week in marijuana news. Well, have you heard of the cannabis disposal companies in California? Well, thanks to the passage of the Compassionate Use Act in 1996, nonprofit collectives have been providing marijuana to Californians for decades. But that all came to an end when Prop 64 passed, because all non-licensed collectives were forced to close by July 1st of this year. And any non-tested, improperly packaged, or cannabis containing too high of a THC concentration was supposed to be destroyed. Hence the creation of companies like CWR or SoCal Inc. and Cannabis Waste Solutions, which collects non-compliant weed and destroys it, right? That sounds terrible, doesn't it? Right? Under the new commercial sales regulation, it is expected that there will be a continued need for these companies that either turn the cannabis into compost or burn it to generate electricity. This may seem wasteful, but it is now a regulated market, and any cannabis not meeting state standards is doomed to the compost pile. You can read more about all these cannabis waste disposal companies in our article, The Marijuana Disposal Companies of California. Pretty clever name. And you can find that right at tnmnews.com. Well, now that Canada has legalized adult use marijuana nationwide, many of the medical marijuana companies are looking to enter into the adult use industry as well. Canopy Growth is by far the largest of these companies, with a market capitalization of roughly $6 billion. That's billion with a B. They have increased their indoor grow facility space from 750,000 square feet last year to now over 2.4 million square feet, which plans to expand to more than 5 million square feet by the end of 2019. This expansion is estimated to give them the ability to produce, listen to this, 1.6 million pounds of marijuana each year. That sounds like unbelievable, right? 1.6 million pounds of marijuana each year. That will not be nearly enough to meet all of the demand expected in Canada, not to mention the fact that Canopy has export contracts set up with Europe. But other massive cannabis companies in Canada like Aurora and Aphria are also in the process of expanding their cultivating abilities as well. It'll be very interesting to see how the cannabis market unfolds up in Canada, and we will keep a close eye as to what's happening up there and keep you informed. So if you are unfamiliar with the status of the cannabis in Maine, which is supposed to be one of the 9 adult use states in the country, here is a quick history. You didn't know you were getting a history lesson today. Always important to tune into the National Marijuana News because we like history. Now, what happened in Maine is voters approved an adult use market in 2016. Ever since then, lawmakers have put multiple bills on the desk of Maine's Governor Paul LePage, and he has vetoed all of them. He does not like weed, and he sides with our good pal Jeff Sessions, the Keebler elf, on most issues, really, right? He most recently vetoed LD 1539, and that was a bill that would expand the state's medical marijuana program, allowing doctors to decide if patients qualify for medical marijuana rather than following a list of qualifying conditions provided by the state. Lawmakers have had enough of LePage's vetoes, though, and both Maine Senate and House of Representatives voted this week to overturn his decision by a significant margin. The only state that now has, start over that, right? The only state that now has as permissive of a medical marijuana program is, are you ready for this? Oklahoma. That's right. Who would have thunk it? For now, Maine voters will have to be happy with this instead of having to have access to a full adult use market. Now, Kevin Sabet, we've all heard of him, right? He is the founder of an anti-marijuana group called Smart Approaches to Marijuana. He told a reporter recently that, and I quote, "I highly doubt marijuana is going to be a determinative factor for enough voters to change an election. And really, it's a minority of people, like a big minority of people. I've never seen marijuana swing any kind of election. It's such a low priority vote, unquote. Now, while marijuana is not considered a top concern in the U.S. for voters, according to Gallup's list of most important problems for 2018, many issues tied into the prohibition of marijuana are, such as racism and jobs and the overall economy. People like Connor Lamb narrowly won a House seat in Pennsylvania with marijuana legalization being a part of his agenda. There was also the major primary win for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in New York, who also supports cannabis legalization. And tell Senator Bill Nelson out of Florida, a former astronaut, that the cannabis issue is not a major tipping point after he backed marijuana legalization in response to Governor Rick Scott's appeal of a decision by the judge that said the ban on smoking medical marijuana is unconstitutional. Governor Scott, I hate that guy. Anyway, Governor Scott is running for Nelson's seats, and more than 2/3 of Florida voters support cannabis legalization. So do you think that influenced Senator Nelson's decision? We do. Tell us what you think. And if the marijuana is a tipping point for voters where you live. We want to hear from you, and we always love it when you leave your comments. And finally, North Dakota may be the next recreational marijuana state. In order to have an adult use question added to the November ballot in North Dakota, advocates had to collect 13,452 signatures. They submitted 18,000 signatures instead to the Secretary of State, which will allow voters to decide later this year. North Dakota votes very conservatively usually, and so it's certainly not a given that the bill will be approved. But the plan to push the justice aspect of the bill will also expunge marijuana possession's misdemeanors from people's records. How cool would that be? North Dakota has the highest rate of marijuana possession arrests and the harshest penalties. So if this bill is approved, it would create an adult use market that includes the commercial sale of cannabis, possession, and use for anyone over the age of 21. A lot is happening on the political front for cannabis here in the U.S. It will be exciting to see what happens later this year with all of the elections and referendum questions concerning cannabis on the November ballots. You can read all about the issues at TNM News. Go to our Facebook page. Please go to our Instagram and our Twitter account. It's all tnmnews.com, and look at us. Tell us what you want to hear. Tell us what you want to see, and give us your opinion on what's happening where you are. Again, I'm Todd Dankin. Happy birthday to Cheech Marin, and happy birthday to me. Good night, and have a pleasant tomorrow.